what is of value, right? We started as friends. We're still really, really good friends. And so we wanted to keep the friendship, but we decided to release the intimacy so that we can move on for other players. And so again, all of it starts with these fundamental tools. So let me just have some of the amazing folks here on stage chime in who've been with me for the last 2 months or so, working in some of this material, just to be able to say what you thought it was versus what it actually is and the impact. So that again, we're only 25 seats. So if you are interested and you want more information, which are all those fabulous details, we will be doing this right here in spring, Scottsdale, Arizona, power couples, followed by selectively singles. Please go to Amilya.com, fill it out, 25 slots. Good morning, Miss Tara. I see you. I see Corey. Do you guys want to chime in here a little bit about what we're getting ready to do here?
Oh my God, I'm so excited, Amelia. I'm sitting here and last night I was talking to my husband. I said, a couple months ago, like look at the difference between a couple months ago and where I sit today. And I won't lie to anybody on stage. When I first started working with this beautiful little gem up here, I was nervous as hell. It's been tough, but my whole life is completely different. And I just want to thank you for that, Amelia, because actually what you did, when I thought my partnership couldn't get any better, it got 10 times better with him. He's been involved in all of my homework with you. He knows my whole perfect life, my perfect day. He knows my should and my should nots. And so I'm so excited for the people that are going to take this opportunity. And I just want to remind you guys, if you are frightened, if you are sitting in uncertainty, run at it, because that was probably the best decision I've ever made in my life thus far. So that's my share, sweetheart.
And I love it. And the community is like nothing before, right? Our sisterhood is freaking incredible, right? Even, and I went last night and went through the very first video when we all kind of introduced ourselves to each other. I'm tripping over my tongue. I can't even, I'm so excited. My mouth won't catch up with my brain, right? When we first met each other and we brought everybody in and how apprehensive people were, and they were kind of being close to their chest and they wanted to like, okay, but I'm really amazing. And I look at the sisterhood now, I look at the friendships that have built, the alliances, the business, the investments that have happened. It's incredible. It's literally incredible. I love when people text me and they're always like, I love Corey. I'm like, yes, I told you guys this. These are incredible women. And now with the brotherhood, that's coming along really good. So I really wanted to be able to open up the platform and just say, listen, some of you guys just really, really need a CEO in your life. You just do. And here's an opportunity that we will knock it out together in 2.5 days. Patricia, are you here this morning? I'm trying to look at the stage.
Of course I'm here, Amelia.
Hello. So Patricia already had a rock star. Let me just tell you, she was already a rock star all on her own. As you leaned in as well. I mean, would you like to chime in on this?
Oh my gosh, it's been so amazing. So I thought when I was joining, I was like joining like another mastermind or something like that, where you kind of just set some goals for the immediate future. But what we've done is we've really locked into kind of our overall, what we want our personal and professional life to look like and how we want to create that with our partner, so that we're aligning who we are and what we want with, whoever that is. In my case, my husband is my business partner, and he's obviously my relationship partner. And so being able to come together on that, but at the same time too, like just based on conversations you and I were having yesterday, Amelia, when I was saying that like, you've given me the permission to think bigger in my life, both personally and professionally, to where I was getting caught up in the little like mundane stuff. And for those of us who want to expand, being able to see really far out in the distance and then really feel like it's realistic that we have those actionable steps to get there. So it's been absolutely incredible. And then speaking to the sisterhood part of it, I was just telling my husband the other day, I said, it's incredible because I'm in contact with successful, amazing, and incredible women every single day at a personal level. And who believe in the same things I believe in, who are working towards goals, who are growing and expanding. And these friendships have accelerated so quickly because we're doing this work together and we're all on a mission to align our lives with, our partners and in our business. So it's been amazing, and I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm really glad you got on the phone with me on Christmas Eve and explained it to me, because it's literally been the biggest gift. So thanks, Amelia.
So Patricia, so this is what here's the stuff that I love, how people try to talk themselves out of a great decision. I hear, listen, I've been married for 15 years. I've been married for 17 years. I've been married for 25 years. It's a good marriage. There's no reason for me to come because I already have a good marriage. What would you say to somebody, because you guys have been married forever, right? The difference that it's made doing this work.
So I think the biggest difference, and my husband expressed it the best, a little while ago, is he said, I really feel like our best years are ahead of us. Whereas not that long ago, we were thinking about is, oh my God, the kids are in high school, they're getting ready to leave us. Like, it kind of seemed like a countdown instead of accelerating up. And for us, where we've been together since I was 25 years old, for 25 years, is your life changes. You're a different person from when you got together, and when you're in that dating and everything's super exciting, to parenthood and careers and getting caught up in the day to day. And then as your kids start exiting and you start thinking about, what do I really want? You have to realign with your partner, because we're different people, and you have to build that relationship or your goals together, or you're moving in different directions. And so we are so excited, because Scott's been doing the work, I've been doing the work, we're sharing stuff just like Tara, and it's incredible how exciting the future looks, because we're bringing it all together. We're not working in a silo with it. So it's been amazing.
And I think that's been part of the funnest part for me, is watching, there's something called the bell curve for my number people, right? I'm a statistic girl, right? There's a bell curve, meaning that if you have any project, anything, and it's okay, you can only move it one level to good. If it's good, you can move it to great, but you can't take an okay and get to great, right? You just cannot do that on your own. It's not possible. But when you immerse yourself in the material, in the trainers, in the system, the guidance, I think that's what happens most on our weekly calls, is that people come in with what part of the work they're working on, but me being able to point you in the right direction, give you a behavioral tool, mirror back for you, right? It's all of that interactive work that strengthens your next big step. And so I was like, okay, there's no way I can keep doing what we're doing right now. There's no way I can keep doing this mentoring. It's just, I don't have the bandwidth, especially with the company going public. But what I can do is doing an intensive. And for those of you who, run businesses, especially if you've got a lot of employees, doing these intensives, these offsite intensives, is very common for businesses. They do a yearly offsite. They lean in heavy. They do a quick analysis on what's happening, what's working, what's not working, and they build together the solution and the glue that holds it in place step by step by step. Well, eons ago, I started to doing this with power couples, right? Because one was filming for their movie, and then the other one was behind, and then there would become distance and all this other stuff. But when you align with power tools, you then lean into being that couple. And trust me, every time I've ever spoken to a married couple, we work on a couple people here who just got engaged. Their parents bought it for them as a gift. You have a vision of being that couple. You want to be that couple. You struggle with figuring out, well, how the heck do I do that? And for my amazing, incredible single folks who are out there looking for your better half, this will allow you to do this. This is going to dial in all the way down to the details on what your wants and what your needs are, what that perfect mate is. And then we have an amazing, cool speed dating opportunity that's happening right at the end of the event. Because what better way than to meet somebody who's already emerged in the work, right? To find somebody who's already doing the same work that you are, the same type of commitment, moving in the same direction, because they too want to be part of the power couple. So it's going to be so much fun, so much fun. It's going to be in Scottsdale. I see some of my other sisters in here. Hey, Miss Susie, how are you this morning? Are you at a place where you can talk, or are you at school? She may be at school. She may actually be teaching in the classroom right now as we speak. Who else would like to chime in? Hey, Miss Carm, I saw that you were on the phone before. I was just rattling about you and your amazingness as we talk about selectively single.
Oh, hi. Yes, I'm literally multitasking right now, as many of us females do. What did you want me to share, Amelia? Good morning, everyone.
I was just talking about the event. I was talking about the event, and I was talking about the fact that when you go side by side to really work with professionals who actually build power couples, and as a single person, really to dial in that honing device so that you can get closer to what actually is your complement. So just talking about a little bit about the event that we're having in Scottsdale, talking with both power couples and then the selectively singles, and just saying, an opportunity that you usually don't see, but how best it is to be working with a database of people that are intentionally looking to be a power couple.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. I'm so excited about that. I'm so excited that I'm doing it with the men and women that are part of that. You in particular, including the fact that you want to just really give you your flowers, that you have been so transparent, so open, and so vulnerable in your own, process and journey of seeking that person and being that power couple. Because anyone who aligns with you, my goodness, I have no idea. I mean, I have a lot of idea what you can accomplish. You're already doing so much on your own, and yet with that power couple, with that partner that you choose, it just is going to elevate everything that you do. And when you think of the power couples or examples of power couples today and how they speak about their partner and acknowledge their partner and talk about their successes, they will always, whether it's the Oscars, whether it's a Grammy, whether it's any kind of award, one of the things that they do is they turn immediately to their partner and say, I would have never been able to do this. I have to thank my partner for allowing me the space to create, giving me the support that I need. Because when you're up to big things, you need, I want to say you need a partner. It's helpful. Because I also think it's really powerful to be powerfully single and selectively single. I love how you identified that, Amelia, because there are so many people who are single who are not happy about being single, who are almost miserable being single, and they're defined by their worth by being in partnership. And I think there's something to celebrate being selectively single and knowing that you are not waiting, but you really are only interested in partnerships that are going to elevate you, that are going to be good for you, your family, your business, your health, any of those goals that you want to achieve. And I'd love to change and reframe that context as well for people who are unhappily single. I would rather have them say that they're selectively single and not get triggered when someone says, well, why are you single? Right? Let's talk about that, and let's embrace the fact I'm single because XYZ. What are people actually saying about that? What comes up for them when things like that happen? So
well, and I think that's where there's so much value, right? Is because we're going to walk through it step by step. And what I remind people is that the journey in life is all about partnerships, right? We cannot survive alone, right? We live through the relationships that we have the ability to have, those connections, right? We see that in the sisterhood and the brotherhood, right? It's through those connections that we grow. But it's hard, right? Because there's such a vulnerability in the whole thing. And that's my word for this year is vulnerability for anybody who hasn't been following me on Instagram. And please go to Amilya.com so you can catch all of the stuff that we're talking about here. And so one of the things that when people ask me what is my greatest success, they always think that I'm going to say something about business or something about one of my early investments or something like that. And I always say no. What part of my greatest success is that every relationship that I've been in, the energy and the value of the relationship is still with me, right? I can still call on them. They still call on me. We still have an alliance with our energy and the momentum. The only thing that changed was the relationship of the intimacy. and being able to move through life without having the energy pull you backwards. And the reason why it usually pulls you backwards is because people were not taught, hear what I say, people were not taught to transfer a relationship from one parameters to another. How do I go from this relationship and transform it into another relationship that is housed by a different set of what I say should and should nots, or kind of rules of the game? And that's what becomes a difficulty, because a lot of times people are coming out of marriages and they're still co-parents and they have no way of showing up as their best because they're still trying to live underneath the rules of being married, and you're not anymore, right? You have to learn how to transform that relationship. And so when we work with the couples, because we're doing the individual work and then aligning the entire energy together with strain and recovery, same thing with our selectively singles, to be able to do that work so that they are absolutely at their highest and best, to attract exactly how they are then coming out of the retreat, right? Your frequency will attract exactly with who you are. You cannot have what you do not provide. And this allows the singles to provide what it is that they're asking, right? To align with that energy and move away from some of the interference energy that's making mixed signals, right? In the dating world, I will tell you this right here, even when if you're looking for partners, you're looking for investments, if you're trying to raise capital, if you give a mixed message, you will always have no. I'll say that again. If you give a mixed message, the answer will always be no. For our salespeople that are here, you know this to be true. If you're selling something and the customer does not understand, the answer is no. In the dating world, if somebody cannot understand what it is that who you are, what your offer is, and what you're looking for, if there's confusing or mixed messages, the answer will always be no. And so the clarity is something that we've really worked on over the last couple of months with the G100. And now we're being able to say, okay, listen, so since we can't serve a mass amount of people the way we're doing it now, we're doing these intense interactives that are also a lot of fun, right? There's a lot of the offsite too. Who else would like to, as we talk about, leaving your legacy, I say this, so often. I think one of the biggest legacies that we leave in our life is the impact that we have on others, right?
Amelia,
yeah.
I just want to
Yeah.
touch base with just a follow up on what you shared, and then absolutely would love to hear from people, especially when you're talking about selectively singles. For those who do not know me, the people who genuinely come to me, and I do work with a lot of very successful entrepreneurs, whether they're 6, 7, 8, even 9 or 10 figure, entrepreneurs that are really excelling in life. The only thing, when they come to a matchmaker, at least from my point of view, most of them have done the work. They're very clear on what they're looking for, and they're ready to invest in their love life by seeking a partner because they're clear, right? They already have identified who they are, what they're looking for. And that's what being selectively single is that they're not settling. They know the hard work that they put in themselves, and they want someone to complement that hard work. They want someone who's going to, take them to even greater levels of success, and not demanding that, like, there's no expectation. It's almost like, hey, I'm content. I'm not even content. I'm thriving. I'm happy, and I only want to bring a powerful partner into my life if they're going to add to it. So that's what I wanted to share, and I love that, and I'm so excited to work on that.
And Carm, I'm excited about the speed. I'm excited about the speed dating at the end. That's my favorite. I'm excited about that part, right? And we have something really fun for our power couples at the end of their retreat, right? So it's just going to be a lot of fun. Really being able to, like you've heard some of the sisters say, the relationships that they have now, they never could have dreamed it when they started. You will absolutely leave with relationships and a power of intensity that you've never had before. And so I'm so excited about it. I literally want to scream. Who else wanted to chime in?
I just wanted to jump in here for a second and just talk about really living that portion of living your legacy. As we're talking about here, is living your legacy, meaning hold on, just get us both here on screen here. What am I doing here? Sorry, we're streaming live here today as well. Living your legacy and leaving your legacy, right? And when we talk about legacy, everybody thinks about it's a trust fund, it's this, it's that. No, a legacy may be the positive impact that you left on this earth, on society. Legacy is, if you're a parent, is how are you raising your children? What kind of humans are you leaving behind? What are you leaving? What are the things that you're leaving?
Dr. Phil says that the greatest thing you can do is have an amazing marriage, right? They say he says the best gift you can give your children and your community is a phenomenal marriage. Yet we're not really taught how to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Because I say this all the time, is that our kids do what they see, not what they hear. Right? Well, not what we tell them. They do what they hear us, and they're mimicking us, right? The same way that, growing up, maybe your son or your daughter is dressing up like you, and they want to be like you, right? So they're watching, and how they see you interact with your significant other is everything, because that sets the foundation for what their relationships are going to be like in the future. So leave a legacy of love, leave a legacy of respect, of self-respect, of commitment, of determination, of whatever it is, all the good things you want to do, leave that with them. Because, my friends, we're all living our life. We can choose to live it as a warning or as an example. So leave that legacy of an example. Leave that legacy of
Tony,
love.
For those of us who have kids, my oldest is 28, so he's full grown. It's always the guy that you see in the background. Somebody was asking me yesterday, who's the young hot guy you keep? And I'm like, no, that young hot guy is not my squeeze. That's my son. So it's not. No, I'm not dating half my age. But I was listening to him. I was listening to him chat they're getting ready to go live in Thailand for 3 months. And I was listening to him talk to his little kind of huddle of friends. And, sometimes you never really know like what your kids think about you. Cause they're like, ugh, mom, dad, whatever. Right. And my son, especially since there's been so much going on in my life, since December, and I'm going to choke up when I say this. My son said, I'll tell you the one thing about my mother, not only is she the most resilient person that I know, she does everything with dignity and class. And
that's a legacy.
I almost lost it. I like literally lost it, and he says, I watch you go through horrible things, right? Again, the end of anything can always be traumatic. And yet the end of things, I have always leaned in with one of the greatest opportunities of my life. And I show up that way. And the fact that my kids have been watching, right? And that now they repeat it. And they now hopefully live with the same example, because where sometimes people would make the assumption that I would meet them with anger or resistance or judgment, I never do. I never do. I will meet you with love and acceptance, and know that the best of what we have, we will hold on to. And the things that need healing, we will find how to heal it together. Now, do not mistaken for 1 second that means I don't feel pain. I feel an enormous amount of pain. But how I handle it is the difference, which are the tools, which are literally the tools. And so, over the last several weeks, while there was a lot of headlines in the media, I yet again had the opportunity to lean in to a couple situation that seemed impossible. And I do this over and over and over again. I take what seems to be impossible and align it for major, major impact. And I think it's one of my greatest gifts, one of my greatest work, is to bring people together in alignment where life just feels incredible, right? But Patricia was saying earlier, she was saying that, sometimes life you kind of go like, is this it? Like, it's good, but is like this it? There's nothing exciting anymore. Building that excitement back into your life, whether you're a couple or whether you're selectively single, building that back in with the clarity of what the next steps are, but more importantly, where your yes and no is, right? When people watch me and some of the decisions that I make, they watch from afar and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe she just did that. It's because I have such clarity. I know what works for me and I know what doesn't work for me. I think Karma and I were talking on our segment last week and I was talking that I was waiting to meet somebody. I have a 14-minute rule. And so I will leave. I mean, I will leave. I mean, it's just this is, my time is valuable. And there was a white paper that was done by I can't remember who it was, but there was a paper that said that the thing that you are aware of before the honeymoon stage starts, and a honeymoon start is anything, right? You can meet a girlfriend, you can meet a boyfriend, you can meet an investor, right? There's a point that your brain is in full awareness before you start falling in love what it could be, right? So what they said was that the thing that you become aware of before the honeymoon stage starts is the thing that will be its demise. And so part of what I did for myself, and a lot of these other sisters and brothers have done the same thing, was I created a list for myself, which is my cheat sheet about what I should and should not be doing. And one of those things I should not be waiting, right? Trying to figure out what's happening because I'm in like the land of the abyss because you don't know how to communicate. And so I have this rule that I said I will absolutely leave. And so here I get up to leave. So I'm waiting. I'm like, okay, this is obviously going to be the same thing that's going to bother me for the rest of my life with this individual. You're always going to be unprepared. You're always going to be late. You're always going to be disrespectful. You're just telling me who you are. No problem. So I get up to leave. And as I'm standing with the little guy with the little ticket thingy to go get my car, the little valet guy, this man shows up like, a bull in a china shop and says to me, "You have to stay." And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't have to do anything, right? Firstly, you've got me confused with somebody else, right? And was insistent that I was going to stay. And I was like, wow, the total awareness, right, of the difference in the approach, the intensity of the energy that didn't start with accepting responsibility, right? When somebody leans in on you with their fire, right? Their fire and their crisis because they don't have enough tools to meet you with harmony energy to say, hey, listen, I take full responsibility here. This is on me. No, that's not how the conversation started. It started with him grabbing my arm, telling me and insisting me that, right? He was like, oh my God, you look just like your pictures. You have to stay. And I'm like, sir, this is really the wrong approach. This is, you are digging, you're going to a place that you will never be able to recover from. But it's very telling, right? It was very telling on how his whole life will show up. His whole life will show up. Your ability to bring energy back to neutral, no matter what the situation is your capacity to scale. I'm going to say that again. Flash your mics if you're listening. You're on Clubhouse. Flash your mics if you're listening. When life sends you something, and you have the ability to bring it back to neutral, slow it down so you can make a response, make a decision, and not get into that vicious cycle of the energy. That ability is your ability to scale in life. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Let me understand. Did this guy show up on the 14th minute? Is that what happened? He showed up on minute 14 and he didn't call you at all?
Yeah, no, I was just hanging out, do whatever, having a cup of coffee, talking to the waitress, hanging out. And I'm like, okay, time for me to go. I have things to do. And so, so when I was standing to get my car with the little ticket guy, he was going to get and it was so funny. So here's the little valet, God bless him. He's watching this guy like lose his shit in front of me, right? And I was like, I looked at him and I said, will you go get my car? Like, don't watch this. Go get my car. I am leaving. Right. And so, yes, 100%. There was no point of recovery because it was past my waiting time. There wasn't effective communication so that I knew it was happening. So in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is what's going to happen. We're going to be together, 4 years from now. You're going to do the same exact thing. I'm not going to know if you're dead or if you're coming. And that doesn't feel good to me, right? Because you're disrespecting, you're not honoring, you're not valuing, all those things that we talk about of what's important to me. And so I didn't need to get sucked in to any more information because for me, I know everything that I need to know about you. It doesn't work for me. I am sure he is fabulous for somebody else. Doesn't work for me. How do I know that? Because I have my should and my should not. I know what works for me. No judgment on anybody else, right? Somebody else may have looked at him and go, woohoo, whatever, and decided to stay. Not me. If you disrespect my time, I promise you there's not a second. I promise you there's no second. Go, Mr. Tony's losing his shit over here.
Yeah, listen, I did a couple things. Number one is you set the standard for how people are going to treat you. To your point, in 4 or 5 years, it'll be the same thing. So you set the standard as to what you're going to tolerate and not. And we've got to remember, my friends, every single one of us, we're either training people how to treat us, or we're letting them train us how we're going.
Or you're tolerating it. You're either training or you're tolerating.
Exactly.
That's right.
And as we've heard, for those who've been to a Tony Robbins event, I've heard thousands of times, is you don't, in life, you do not get what you deserve. You don't. You get what you tolerate. So if you tolerate that, then that's what you're going to get. If you're going to tolerate somebody doing the same thing over and over and over again, disrespecting you, it is not going to change. It is just going to get worse. So I honor you've told me that story before, and honestly, I honor that commitment and the standard that you set, because you set a high standard. And if people can't meet it,
and I do, and
it's going to help you in the future.
And the thing about it is, but I do it kindly. I do it with respect. I do it with love. I do it with non-judgment. I just let people know that it's not, or I speak up, right? I had somebody who just, went back on somebody made me a promise. This is how we're going to behave. This is what we're going to do. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. There was an agreement. So that means that was my expectations. And when I see a totally different behavior, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not what we talked about. To honor myself, I'm not going to leave the elephant in the room. I'm going to go, hey, just letting you know, I had different expectations. This is not what I'm receiving. Can you verify for me, right? Give people the opportunity, verify for me that this is in fact what's happening. And I just want to let you know it's extremely hurtful, does not work for me, and I will pivot accordingly. I love, I've done a ton of work with Steve Harvey, right? And and he talks about what does it say? Act like a man, act like a lady, think like a man. I can't remember the name of the book that he does, and I that workshop.
Act like a woman, think like a man.
There you go. Yeah, and it's awesome, right? There we go. And he talks about, men specifically, right? I think this is true for women too, because I think it's let's just say the masculine energy, because I'm guilty of the same. Will absolutely do everything you ever want them to do if you're the right person. If you're the right person, you will be baffled on the length that somebody will go. If they see value of you in their life, they will go the extra mile. If somebody is not behaving in a way that makes you feel wanted and welcome and valued and respected, it's because they don't value, want you, and respect you. It's really that simple. And there's no convincing. I can't be taller. I can't be cuter. I can't be smarter. I just don't match their value system, which is fine. So you move back a step. I was just talking to the G100 about the rings of success, right? There's rings. There's the bullseye ring. There's the next ring out. There's a ring other that. When you interact, you're just telling me where I put you on the ring, right? And so if you don't respect me, I just move you out one ring farther, right? Move you out one ring farther. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. The way you treat me tells me where you will be or not in my life. And all good. I wish you well. Do you, boo? It's all good. But if you want to be in with people that, are value and respected and have core values and have a commitment to, higher and better selves and success and doing deals together and partnerships together, if that's really where you want to play, right, which is what the G100 is, then there's a standard that you have to meet. And it's your choice. It's literally your choice. And so we just build in the tools with you. And I just love it. I love the community. I'm so blessed by the things that we're actually working on now. And so I am so excited about heading out to Scottsdale and really working side by side. And I love the results that are happening. I see Mariana, you're here too. You want to chime in there, girl? I don't want to put you on the spot.
You are not putting me on the spot. I am right here. And oh my God, Amelia, when you were talking about watching the videos from the beginning, I was like, oh no. I was laughing, but at the same time, I was with so much happiness in my heart because Amelia, as you remember, I cry in the first couple videos or third videos because there was so much deep work. You know, I didn't know it was coming my way. And I was talking to my...
I warned you. I warned you. I said the work is hard. I warned everybody.
Yes, the work is hard. You say the work is hard. You guys are going to be... some of you are going to be doing the work and some of you are not. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do this work no matter what. And I tell you why, Amelia, I had done so much personal growth in my life. I'm a personal growth junkie, but I had never done anything like it. And I'm just so grateful for my tears that I shed in the beginning because now they're tears of happiness. Like before was tears of, oh, I don't know if I can do this. What is this? What did I get myself into it? And now I'm like, I can shed these tears anytime because I know I'm going to be better each time I go through this. I go to every step that we take. It's like amazing. And my relationship with my Scott, Patricia, and we share the same name, partners. I was sick the other day, and he hasn't done this in a long time. And we did the exercise together for our best day. Remember, you made us do our best day exercise.
Yeah.
And he was trying to do some of those things with me the other day. He went and got me purple flowers, when he hasn't done in a while. And Corey sent me a picture with purple flowers yesterday. But my Scott got these purple flowers yesterday, and those, are in my perfect day. If you guys go into my file and look at that, and Corey being the way she is, she saw that in my birthday day, and she sent me a picture yesterday with purple flowers. So it's not only happening in my partnership, but it's actually happening in my community. So everything is just unbelievable. So if you guys are not in this program that Amelia is offering right at this moment, click on that link, please. Click on that link because your life and your family's life would not be the same ever again. That's for sure.
I love it. I am so proud. Every one of them. I'm so proud. I got 2 kisses yesterday too, while I was running back and forth to the hospital with, the stuff that's going on in my personal life, visiting. And so I got those 2 kisses, and I literally, I cried from like that inner child soul, right? Because when somebody communicates with you in your deepest knowing, it changes the trajectory of your entire day. And so having these tools, not only is it for you, it's for the people who love you, who want to communicate in a way that has massive, massive immediate impact. And that's really the only difference. The only difference between the people that are moving and growing and the people that are kind of stuck is that they don't have somebody holding their hand to build them into their lives, to kind of take you step by step on how to actually get there. And so I am just ridiculously proud, and again, I look at some of the videos where we started and people didn't know each other. And Corey's been a love of mine forever. I mean, we were friends before all of this. And so the fact that you guys get to love on her now just makes me so happy. Hey, Miss Corey.
It makes me happy too. I want to do this without crying because, I've always been successful, and I didn't really understand where I was going to go in my life, but I knew that I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be, but how was I measuring that? And so I just wanted to join a group of women to be able to go to the next level, to be able to identify what did I need to do differently in my travel to success. And one of the things was surrounding myself with professional people that didn't have some kind of a high drama, clicky thing going on like high school or anything like that. And it was a really scary venture for me because I've been hurt so much in my life that I have resolved to being by myself the rest of my life. Like I'm a strong person, so I wasn't scared of being by myself with the support of God's love and understanding that I always have Him. So it's going to be okay. But the opportunity to be able to have such powerful, beautiful women supporting me and me being able to support them is easily the most rewarding aspect of this group that I personally have received. I've gained tremendous in all areas that everyone else was talking about. This is my third marriage. My husband's in construction. He walks by listening to me listen to Clubhouse or any of my personal development stuff, and he rolls his eyes like, "Oh my God, she's doing it again. What am I gonna have to do tomorrow? Type of thing." But he actually was overhearing and listening to one of our conversations, and Amelia was talking about how she wanted to be treated. And if I had had this tool of this one page, here's Corey's instructions for, my partners or my dates or my girlfriends or my business partners, 20 years ago, my life would have been so much different, because when he heard Amelia talking about those things, which just by chance, Amelia and I are, in my opinion, pretty much designed the same. He heard what she wanted. He hasn't read My Perfect Day yet. And that day, he asked me to take the dogs to the vet today during my personal development time where I want to be with all my girls. And when I told him that, that's kind of my day, then he added, "And you're sexy and beautiful and intelligent." I mean, he caught everything Amelia had said that she would want to hear from somebody, not just here's a dozen roses for you today, or, it was the more like really taking into consideration what it was deep that I needed to connect with him. And so I'm really excited about the opportunity of introducing him to my beautiful girlfriends of G100, but also for him to really get a deeper understanding of how this is benefiting both of us. And as far as the women in this group, they're watching them grow. I mean, I'm a professor, so I feel like I've coached over 3,000 people already, but watching these women grow in such an expedited way. I mean, the way that Amelia just drives you and challenges you and takes you to a new level, and she's the mentor that's already been there, done that, and it's just done with such clarity and such power. I just thank you very much.
Oh, we love you, sister. We love you.
We love you,
Such a beautiful spirit.
and I love you, Patricia.
Was that Dora Maria?
That was me telling Patricia that I love her too. She's my accountability partner. So
Yay!
I gotta give her some love.
Yay! Yay! Yeah, so I'd love to answer any questions. Like, I am truly am a behaviorist through and through. And so if you are struggling, or if you just want to banter, if you just want a little bit of a mentor right here, right now, let me serve you. Let me serve you. Go ahead and just throw it out there, and see if I can actually help and lend some really next step wisdom for you. Is anybody who's struggling with something and they'd like to ask a question while we're here?
Hi, this is Nune. I'd love to ask a question.
Go for it. Welcome. Thank you for being here and sharing your time.
Absolutely. Thank you for the energy and the clarity. So I'm more of a cognitivist, and I live in my head. I think something and I feel like I've done it because I've thought it. So for me, the behavioral aspect just escapes me. I don't know if it's by choice, by habit, both. Um, and I want to be in the tangible world as much as I am in my headspace.
Well, you're not alone there because we've got several sisters that subscribe, and I'm the same thing. I live in my head. You know, I'm an analytical. I will think tactically and before I'll think emotionally, so I can totally understand what you're saying. And what I can share with you is this. Um, the tactical thinking side of you, which is wonderful, right? So productive. It's very action oriented. Um, it's a very strong foundation for you to stand on. But the beauty of who you are, the magic of who you are, the love, the deep, the connection, the intimacy, what somebody is going to fight for you is on the other side. It's on the other side. Now, for us who are of the yang or tactical mindset, it's really hard for us to lower the barriers to allow people in, right? And again, there's a couple of sisters on stage who know exactly what I'm talking about because they just had to do this work with me. It is hard, but it is also a belief system of protection. It is a misaligned attachment that if you stay of in your mind, solo mind, that somehow you will not get hurt. But what I can assure you is that when you learn to connect with other minds, you scale, right? We only know our own version of the story, and then the richness is in the other sides of the story. And so absolutely the behavior part of it is, I mirror is what I do is I mirror back what you can't see, right? Because the way you see yourself is nowhere near how other people see you. And it's hard to see how people see you. But once you can have a mirror to say, this is what we see and this is what we're feeling, then you can choose whether it's working or it's not working. So there's some aspects where what we're seeing and what we're feeling does work for you. You're like, yep, that's exactly the message that I intended. But when we get into, is this how you want me to feel? Do you want me to feel like I'm cuddling with a porcupine? Do you want me to feel like I can't reach you? Because if the answer to that is no, then you need a behavior modification in order to choose when you want to be approached, when somebody can get closer to you, right? I say it's the 2 feet. We have a lot of sisters that when they started the G100, they would love from 2.5 feet away. And as long as you stayed 2.5 feet away, they were perfectly fine. But when you got too close, right, that's when they panicked. That's where we had to get rid of old behaviors and replace with new behaviors. Does that make sense when I say that?
It does. It does. I see it as the first person, sometimes as the second person, sometimes as the third person, but it does resonate.
And I'm excited for you, right? Because the fact that you're aware that there's a portion of you that isn't easily accessible, you've already started, right? It's the awareness that's the hardest part, right? Tactical, action oriented individuals believe that their way is the way with conviction, right? This is the way it's going to be. I know I'm right. It's gotten me this far, and they're not open to anything else. They're not even open to the conversation. So the fact that you are open to a conversation, you are 50% of the way there. It gets easier from here. Right now it's just how. But people spend a lifetime defending their position, right? And that's the biggest thing that behavior modification does. If you are going to defend your position, then I'm just going to say to you, you must be right. You must be right. But when you're open to the possibility that there's something different, now we can have a conversation, right? If you can just open the space and say, maybe there's something more. Now we can have that conversation. I love that question. I think that's wonderful. Thank you for chiming in. I appreciate it. I'm going to make sure I follow you right here so that we can stay connected. We have time for
Thank
one
you.
more
So,
question.
Amelia,
Yes, go for it.
wanted to
Yeah.
I wanted to interject here. So her question right now, we're looking at her being I guess the protagonist of the situation, right? But what if she is the protagonist still, but it is the other person that is the energy vampire, right? Like, so her mechanisms, her should nots, right, are to stay away from negativity like that and bad energy. And her natural reaction is to protect against that because that's her should not. Like, so what is your advice to her in that stance, right? Like, it's that person who is that negative vampire energy sucking person. How do you deal with that, right? Because then it's really herself protecting herself from that bad mojo.
Right. So that is in that strain and resistance, right? We were talking last week or the week before about strain and resistant energy. The gift is that regardless of the outside situation, right? So even though there's an energy vampire, right? Even though that exists and you and I are now interacting, there is a way for me to move through the situation and lose no energy, none, by utilizing, yes, the should and should nots, but also the strain and recovery, right? Also having the ability to move through the situation without taking the step back. What normally happens is that you find yourself in front of an energy vampire and either they suck the life out of you and then now you're drained and you've got to recover, or you push with such resistance for it to go away, you don't take the value of the recovery in that step, right? Because there is, so let me just give you an example. When I made the decision to leave because it was against one of my should and should nots, and I held my position, and I went all the way through with the insights that the decision that I was making was not only good for my short term, it was good for my long term. And I celebrated, my inner child celebrated the adult decision. My energy elevated, my vibration and frequency elevated because I was excited that I chose the life that I am desiring, the life and the partner that I'm going towards, right? I didn't have any negative that was like, oh my God, I can't believe it. He'd show up. There was no, I never didn't take any steps backwards at all because my tools are in place. It wasn't Amelia in the moment psychologically having some magic power. It was Amelia having all her tools in place, which was clearly defined on what type of individuals I bring close and which ones I wish you well as I move through. And so it's just lack of skill building and practice, right? The biggest thing about the G100 is we practice on each other. We practice a skill. We practice a skill so that when it happens in real life, we've already practiced. And so when you're heavy in the cognitive side, what happens is when you don't get the results you want, there is a moment of depletion. There is a moment of letdown. There is a moment of you don't get me. There is a moment of what's wrong that I can't get where I want to go. That is that pull on the energy because of not the clarity. And then the next step that becomes the recovery energizing boost. Does that make sense when I say that? And I have to turn this over to Mr. Meltzer. Does that make sense when I say that just out loud before I turn the mic over?
Absolutely.
Love that. Love that. Love that. Well, hopefully you guys, again, if you please visit Amilya.com, you'll see a pop-up right then and there. If you have any interest, please just share your email. We'll give you all the details. I'm excited. Mr. Meltzer, good morning. Happy Friday, my fabulous, magical friend. How are you, sir?
I am doing great. I am here in Augusta, Georgia